Welcome to another movie plot and enjoy the memories. It begins in the 41st century on board the Space Shuttle Alpha 7 and its furry brown interior. The solo inhabitant Barbarella takes up the entire 5-minute opening credits scene, removing her spacesuit while floating around in zero gravity. The fan services provided by the 5-star double-rated Astronavigatrix, which is just the future's fancy way of calling Barb's an astronaut. She receives a video call from the leader of Earth, who rejects her offer of getting dressed as this is a matter of utmost importance. He sends her a variety of guns from the museum and orders the unqualified Barbarella to locate a 25-year-old missing persons named Durand. The young scientist disappeared with a weapon called the positronic ray, but since Earth lacks any military in the future, it's all up to our girl to talk with any aliens that she might happen upon. They teleport her a universal translator called a tongue box, and it'll also light up when Durand's nearby. When the call ends, she slips on the most painful looking pajamas and spends the whole journey hibernating on a plastic hammock. She wakes up just in time to witness Alpha 7 enter a magnetic field and get slung around the ship's fuzzy interior. The screen soon comes into focus over a snow-covered planet in the Tau Ceti star system where Barbarella crash lands. She makes her 4th outfit change in the first 14 minutes of the movie, then exits through a sphincter door onto the frozen surface. Exploring the terrain in her warm Arctic clothing, a pair of shifty-looking twin Stomoxes and Glossina approach the stranger. Before Barbs can adjust her tongue box to the local dialect, the Twisted Sisters incapacitate her with a snowball, as Earthlings are pretty weak. The concussed Barbarella then gets tied up and taken for a ride on a sled, being pulled by a cute little stingray across the ice. They pull up at the wreckage of Durand's spaceship, the Alpha 1, where all of the squatting inhabitants are pairs of twin children. Continuing to try be nice to the kids as they tie Barbs to a pole, she should have just been drop kicking these little monsters for pulling out these dolls alone. For no reason at all, they activate the mob of Annabelles with sharp metal teeth that begin to give Barbie a death by 1,000 nibbles. The little demons just laugh it up until a local kid wrangler arrives and captures all of the wild children to rescue our girl from the Lord of the Flies. He wears what looks like the skin of a dead relative when you see how hairy Mark is beneath it, and unties Barbarella, whose tongue box lets them converse. She's told that he lives alone in the frozen wasteland, as these black guards are just empty suits of armor who work for the planet's tyrannical ruler. All children on the planet must survive in the wilds until reaching the appropriate age, when he bags them up to make something useful of them. He offers Barbarella a lift back to her spaceship on his wind-powered land boat, where he says that he would like to make love to her. Present-day Earthlings like our girl here do this by taking a pill and touching their hands together, but Mark's an old-fashioned kind of guy. Reluctantly agreeing to get it over with, Barbie quickly finds the experience enjoyable, and by the time they reach her ship, she doesn't even want to leave. Since her clothing was torn, she puts on another outfit that I guess Mark wears recreationally and invites him to join her adventure once he's repaired her ship. He says that he would rather spend his days rounding up miners here at the North Pole, so after a slight snag on the sphincter, Barb departs alone. Or at least she would have if the stupid Sasquatch didn't install the stabilizers in reverse, causing Alpha to go down instead of up. Thankfully, it's equipped with Terra screws, allowing her to tunnel through to the planet's core, where her ship breaks down yet again. This time she emerges in a new fit that provides zero protection from some slightly shifting rocks, as about anything will put this girl unconscious. She gets found and felt up by a blind ornithanthrope named Pygar, who has a whole bunch of backstory that he's just dying to tell us. The winged humanoid was blinded during a magnetic storm and is still physically fine, but just lost his will to fly. He brings Barb to a labyrinth outside of a city named for Sodom and Gomorrah, so you can imagine the debauchery taking place inside. Or maybe you aren't able to, in which case you would be exiled from Sogo to this maze with the stone-encrusted weirdos for not being evil enough. Barbarella gets taken to meet a Professor Ping, who sticks a shot glass to his head and feeds the Birdman some orchids, because why not? He agrees to repair her ship while she stays for a few nights at Pygar's place, but he lives in a literal nest. Just then a black guard arrives to capture the alien, but she walks the blind man through, lining up a shot, and he destroys the empty suit. For saving her life, Birdman gets to lay the worm down on Barbarella, which restores his motivation to fly and leaves her covered in feathers. He can now fly her to Sogo in hopes of finding Durand, but as they're soaring over the labyrinth, black guards in fighter jets attack. With her mini missile launcher, Barbs easily destroys them and enters the city with Pygar through a backstreet to try avoid getting noticed. The wings attract immediate attention, but not as much as Barb's beauty, who's dragged into a back alley by a pair of hard-up men. Before they can lay a finger on her, both get stabbed in the back by the cycloptic crotchless Tyrant of Sogo. The Black Queen doesn't reveal her identity and just allows Barb to run off to find Pygar, but he's being prodded at by a mob of hippies. Standing between them and the diaper angel, Barbs leads him into the Chamber of Ultimate Solution, which isn't a place that the rest want to follow. It's designed to deliver various forms of death to terminate the bitterness of life, but the screams from this woman makes it sound pretty painful. Before they're forced to pick a solution, the Grand Tyrant's concierge unlocks the door and escorts them from the chamber. He explains that the entire city is built on a sentient liquid called mathmos, which feeds on evil vibrations and gives life to the people of Sogo in exchange. Pygar gets taken away in a net while Barbarella gets pushed down a chute into the court of the Great Tyrant, where people sit around smoking essence of man. The twins Stomy and Glomy or whatever are the nieces of the Great Tyrant and want to play with Barbarella, but the concierge takes her to their aunt. She's only missing her eyeball when mingling with the common folk and reveals that she's had Pygar crucified for the crime of not committing a crime or something like that. She just wants to get into Barbarella's pants, so she reaches under the angel's flap and pulls out a gun to take the tyrant hostage. Unfortunately, the concierge calls her bluff when he notices that she's out of ammo, so the guards are ordered to feed Barbarella to the birds. That means that she gets ushered into some bubbles that get filled with hundreds of feral budgies that begin pecking her to death. Meanwhile, the queen tries nesting with the Birdman, but he refuses to show her the worms, so she sends him to be sacrificed while calling him a winged fuzzy fruitcake. Before Barbs falls victim to Twitter, a trapdoor opens up and she slides down a chute into the resistance headquarters. The leader Dildano wears his most flattering of leggings and requests to sleep with Barbs for saving her life, as that seems to be the going rate. But to her disappointment, he finds the physical thing grotesque and prefers the pill and hand-touch technique like any civilized earthling. Some random messenger shows up to witness the action as they vibrate a little, and Barb seems barely affected, while Dildano smokes a lot and comes away looking like he just got electrocuted. As Barbarella makes another welcome clothing change, the resistance leader talks of his plan to overthrow the tyrant and reform Sogo. Barbs agrees to assassinate the sleeping Black Queen and receives a key to her bedchambers, but it's invisible and Dilly misplaced it. Once he finds it, Barbarella gets sent through one of the tubes and deposited right in the middle of the tyrant's rumpus room. She asks the hookah drones how to find her bedchambers, but is soon caught by her concierge and put inside his iron lung-looking torture device. It removes the victim's clothing as the executioner plays it like an organ, and Barbarella is supposed to die from excessive pleasure. Beethoven over here goes crazy on the ivories, but the earthling proves to be too insatiable that the machine can't keep up and short circuits. By the looks of him, it does more damage to the operator, who gets angry at the satisfied Barb, as this thing's supposed to be able to kill even the most perverted. He thinks of what to do with her next, as I guess a bullet to the face isn't an option when her homing device indicates that he's Durand. The 25-year-old scientist attributes his aged appearance to living a lifestyle of pure evil atop the soul-sucking mathmos. He explains that his positronic ray causes targets to be deminimalized to the fourth dimension, which Barb says is monstrous, but who knows what that even means. When he hears that Barb has the invisible key to the queen's bedroom, he shows her the way, but they struggle to find the invisible lock. Once found, Durand steals the key and the queen's personal copy before sealing Barbarella inside the chamber with the sleeping tyrant. He leads a takeover of Sogo, so Barb wakes the queen, but they're unable to escape and can only watch the events unfold on a monitor. The new ruler enacts his coronation ceremony when the city falls under attack by the Labyrinth people and Dildano is thrust into combat. Along with Ping, the rebels destroy the Black Guard army, so before Durand can be crowned king, he whips out the positronic ray. A blinding flash of green light sends all the resistance fighters to the fourth dimension, which again we have no idea what that even means. To escape their prison, the Tyrant Queen lives up to her name when she unleashes the mathmos to defeat Durand and in turn kills everybody. It consumes the entire city of Sogo and everybody inside, but the Queen survives when the liquid evil forms a bubble to avoid Barbarella. Her innocence would hurt the mathmos, so it regurgitates the indigestible Barb on the surface alongside Queenie. Pygar also proves to be immune because obviously, but needs some pumping of the wings to get going again. He rescues Barbarella and her friend before the ground is consumed, but the one who tortured him should probably just be dropped. And the movie ends.
Barbarella!